Welcome back to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be recapping, just talking about this 49ers Cardinals game. 49ers lose 17-10, and it was a pretty brutal loss when you look at this game. 49ers should have won this game. I think they absolutely should have won. Really beat themselves. Didn't convert on fourth down at a very high percentage. I believe it was 1 for 5. Had numerous holding calls, like horrible game from Mike McGlinchey. And then you just kind of like you hear bend don't break. Their defense did really good throughout the game, but there was a couple moments on some third downs where you have Norman in man on man with DeAndre Hopkins, and you're gonna lose that every time. And they did lose that battle every single time, I believe, where it was a third down. So really brutal stuff there. But I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna talk about Trey Lance first, talk about the pros, then talk about the cons. So looking at Trey Lance, you see his stat line: 15 of 29, 192 yards, a pick. On the ground, rushed for 5.6 yards per carry, 16 for 89. I thought Trey Lance looked really good. He comes out, throws an early interception, and you could tell he's jittery. Debo and him were talking. They talked about it in the broadcast. Basically, said Lance said like, "Yeah, I'm jittery, but I'm good now. I'm chilling." So comes back out, looks really good. Doesn't force really any passes. I thought he looked amazing. Now he still misses some passes, lot of balls batted down. That's pretty typical for a rookie, and especially one like him where his windups are really slow right now. I think that's why we see Kyle in a lot of third downs not throwing the football, opting not to do that, just because of how often the ball was knocked down. And then you saw that happen on a 4th and 4, I think it was, maybe 4th and 3 in the fourth quarter. So I think that's why you see Kyle running the football in a lot of those spots, but not super consistent. That's exactly what we should expect. This is a young quarter. This is a 21-year-old quarterback that has never played, college football against Power 5 teams. Like that's where he's coming from. So it's going to be a large learning curve. With all that said, he looked awesome. You saw the skill set, you saw his ability, you saw him make an adjustment too early on where he got the ball tipped down at the line, and it would happen from time to time, but you saw him get the ball tipped down the line. The very next play, this is early on, he looks outside. Elijah Mitchell's on a swing route. He sees Chandler Jones coming up. He kind of pumps, hesitates, lets Chandler Jones pass, and then throws the ball. Like you see him recognize things. You see him start to figure out the game a little bit better as this game goes on. So I thought he looked better, especially as the game went on. At the in the fourth quarter, I thought it was really nice that he was kind of able to rip the ball downfield, which we haven't seen him do a ton. Then defensively, the Niners did a really good job slowing down Kyler Murray. Now Kyler Murray did have a shoulder injury. Hope he is all good. Never want to see guys go down with injuries, but it definitely looked like it was affecting him. Defensive front looked awesome. They played really well. Front seven as a whole looked really good. Now, I don't understand starting Dante Johnson, and I get that he had that great play. That was an amazing play where he forces the fumble and recovers it. But for the most part, this man is getting absolutely cooked. And you have Diamador Lenore, who's played really well. He's a rookie. Like, who cares? He's the better player right now, and he is the rookie. So let's give him a shot. Dante Johnson is not going to be a contributor next year, and hopefully not a lot in the future. But Diamador Lenore is. He should be like one of the younger building blocks in this team. Let's see him out there in the slot. Norman, it was brutal to watch him on DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I don't think anyone's expecting Norman to go out there and lock out DeAndre Hopkins. That's why I don't like some of these play calls on third down where it's man on man, very obvious man on man too. Like I get you're limited in the secondary, but you got to kind of play to that. And that was just the spots where the Niners lost, I felt. Besides that, though, the defense looked so good. D'Amico, he's gone a lot of really good stunts. The defensive line looks really good in terms of not letting Kyler get outside and, keeping him inside. Like you saw him try to twist away from a few sacks, and the Niners were there. DJ Jones, Nick Bosa. It looked overall looked pretty good there, but in the secondary, like these guys aren't good at man-on-man coverage. Like you got to play a little bit more cover three. Like you got to get some help because you're just going to get torched by DeAndre Hopkins and receivers like that when they're on Norman, when they're on. And Mosley did good, but like even on Mosley, like those receivers, you can't man-on-man them on third down. So I didn't really like some of those play calls. I'm not going to, be really critical of him. They allowed the Cardinals scored 17 points, and they're a very good offense. This was their worst offensive performance this season. Kyler Murray is an amazing player, so you got to try to get some pressure. Got to let him get the ball out quick. So I do get it, but I didn't really care for those plays. Other cons, I said Michael McGlinchey was awful. Trey Lance has like no chance on the right side of the line of scrimmage. So you made his day super difficult. Also, that one drive, I think he had 2 holds, got beat. Like he was getting beat like almost every play, it felt like. And Chandler Jones didn't have a crazy game. JJ Watt was an absolute animal though. Like he was dominating, and he was mostly on the side with Mike McGlinchey. that right side of the offensive line, it seemed like it was going to improve because I was hoping that Michael Lynch would improve. He looked a lot better the first 2 weeks. And then you have Daniel Brunskill, who's I don't think he's a starting guard in this league. I don't think he's good enough to do that. And that's why they go out and get Banks. Now Banks doesn't play, like Banks isn't active and hurt and stuff, so we haven't seen him at all. But the right side of the offensive line is still a major question mark, and that's hurting the Niners a lot. Other thing that I'm kind of upset about is that you are not targeting Ayuk and Debo and giving Mitchell the ball as much. Like those are your guys. Those are the guys. Those are the weapons in this offense right now. I think those are the top three. And like, yes, Mitchell had some good run plays, but it felt like they could have got him even a little bit more involved. And Ayuk, when Ayuk has the ball, when he's had the ball this year, he's looked good. He's made some great plays on third down. The play where he came back to the ball and ends up running, picking up 26 when I think it was 2nd and 25. It was an amazing play. Let's get him the ball more. Like he's a beast. Like we've seen that he's a beast, and that they're just not targeting him. Debo at the end of the game, they start to throw to him a little bit more. He ends up scoring the touchdown. Want to see Debo involved even more. Like he's playing, he has the best numbers in the NFL at receiver. I don't know if he does this week, but coming into this week, he did. So got to get these guys the ball a little bit more. I get that it's not going to be perfect with Trey Lance, but got to get the ball into your playmakers' hands. They have kind of stopped running the ball with Ayuk. I would like to see him, use a little bit there a little bit more. And then there was a couple fourth downs that I just was not a fan of the play call. The big one was the Kyle Juszczyk under center. They do that most of the time just like to kind of catch them off guard, but they've ran it a couple times now, and like the Cardinals were fully prepared for that. I would much rather you give the ball to Lance. Lance is picking up these conversions. He's looking really good on third down, on first and long. He was in such terrible situations all game, and he looked so good and really bailed the Niners out a lot of times. So it was a really, really frustrating game to watch and lose. You don't want to lose this game. You win this game 3-2. Cardinals are 4-1. Okay, the division is in sight. You're ahead of the Seahawks. It looks a lot better. You lose this game, it's not the end of the world or anything, but it is really frustrating. So I think this is just one of them where they're going to go into the bye. They got to get better. The offensive line needs to execute way better. They have been executing so poorly. Also, a couple plays. The Mohamed Sanu drop, I think it was on third down early on in the game. Trey Lance doesn't get in the end zone. Like a couple plays where you just don't execute, and you got to be able to execute in those spots. But the offensive line execution has been pretty poor so far, especially these last 3 weeks. Early on in the year, it was a lot better. Last 3 weeks has been pretty rough. So that's probably my biggest complaint right now on the offensive side. And I think that's why you see the 49ers with a limited play calling right now. I don't think Kyle's been his best. I really don't. I think a lot of people are really, really critical of Kyle right now. But these batted balls and like working with the rookie quarterback makes it tougher. And that's why I think that there's still a chance they go back to Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think they should. I think Trey Lance showed he keeps him in the game this week. And you might look at it and go, oh, they only scored 10 points. Like, yeah, but how many drives are getting derailed by things that are completely out of his control? So many. And that's not on him. When you're looking at to evaluate this guy, you got to look at him and go, okay, like, how does he look? How is, like, is his decision making good? Yes. His decision making looks much better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He throws one pick today. It's not a bad decision. He overthrew Travis Benjamin. So that's just a bad ball. That's just a rookie, that's the mechanics. It's the biggest thing for him is the mechanics. The motion has to speed up. It looks a little elongated at times. However, when he's running around and that play action is working, he's on the run, he's able to zip it. He's able to move the ball down the field really well. And I think that they need to try to like go back a little bit more of where they're playing downhill, but it's hard to play downhill when it's 1st and 20 and 1st and 25. And then you pick up a ball, like a conversion on 3rd and 4, and then, oh, nope, let's go back 10 yards. Like, these 3rd and long situations, that's what the 49ers were facing all game. That's not on Trey Lance. And the completion percentage is low because a lot of balls are getting batted down, and a lot of balls he's just throwing away, and he's just playing it safe. And I'm not gonna complain about that. Also, he ran the ball a lot today. I think it was, let me double check. I think it was 16 times. Yeah, 16 times, 89 yards. He looks great. When he takes off a lot of times, he picks up the first down. It seems like routinely. A couple times they get him. That's the NFL. The play on the 4th down, that was like the most like, oh, I've scored this on this play every single time in my life. And then you go into a NFL linebacker first rounder in Isaiah Simmons, and it's like, all right, this is the NFL. A little bit of wake up call. But I think that it's time to rock with Trey. I think I did not expect him to look this good. I thought it was going to be all over the place. He, like, the mechanics are sometimes, but even with that, his ability to extend the play and just also this is your quarterback of the future. Rolling with him is going to benefit this team more long term. So I hope that they do it. I thought he looked great. Got to execute better. Some of the play calling is questionable. I don't like to be a couch offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator for that matter. Like I don't really like criticizing that ton. But I was a little bit frustrated. But overall, I think this one is. I think Trey Lance checked the box. You saw the skill set. You saw that he is a rookie. You gotta expect that. But overall, I like how Trey Lance looked. Incredibly frustrated with this loss. Got to go into bye. Got to come out, beat the Colts and the Bears, and go 4-3 and get to the wild card. That's the goal this year. The fight for the 7th spot in the wild card is not going to be that crazy. 10 wins definitely gets you there, and with the 17-game season, and maybe even 9 games gets you there. I would probably lean 10, but if you have 9 games and a tiebreaker, the Niners control their own fate. They play the Bears, they play the Seahawks again, and they play the Vikings, who they're not good right now. They're 2-3, but like that's how this race is for that spot. And they already beat the Eagles if they are to make a run in it. So Niners got to go out. They got to win some games. But rough loss, but good game for Trey Lance. Very, very impressed by his outing. So thank you all for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. Daily 49ers content for anyone that's listening to my show for the first time. Try to get not every day, but most of the time, especially during the season, like there's a lot of stuff going on. So sometimes even a couple videos a day, but I try to post daily. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm sure that me and Aiden will be on either Tuesday or Thursday, and we'll talk about stuff. But we'll have daily content all next week. And thank you all for listening. And hopefully the 49ers take this bye, come back, and finish the season very strong. It's still really early. They absolutely have a spot, but there's a couple weaknesses in this team, and they need to execute a lot better on the offensive line and in the secondary as well. So thank you all for listening, and we'll talk very soon.